Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Nerd Herders. My name is Nick.
I'm Rich.
And today we're talking what we've been up to.
Yeah.
So, what have you been up to?
Not much.
No.
It's been a really slow week for me.
No.
Yeah. And I don't typically talk about these on this show, but I discovered a new podcast. You all right there?
Yeah, that was my Trump face.
We started talking about building a wall and how great the Mexicans are.
Mm-hmm.
It's your Chipotle burrito.
Let me tell you these. All right.
Let's not go down that road. So it's called Sword and Scale. Have you ever heard of this show? It's like a true crime type podcast where they go. The whole idea is like showing you that the worst monsters are real. So it's talking about worst murders, kidnappers, like all kinds of weird crimes. There was a thing going on Facebook a few days ago. I don't know if you saw it, about this woman whose daughter was supposedly disabled. Did you see that going around? And like, this woman had this daughter who was supposedly 19 and in a wheelchair and had all these illnesses. And the mother was one day found dead, and they found the daughter, and she could walk and talk and do everything just fine. And this woman had been lying for years about
For like tax breaks.
Tax breaks, and they got Make-A-Wish and like all this all this kind of. I mean, for years and years and years, this woman had been like pretending that her daughter was sick and giving her medication, like the girl's like teeth had fallen out from like seizure medication she didn't need, and like weird shit like that, and made her sit in a wheelchair. And so, I mean, it was this long article. It was through BuzzFeed, which was a weird place to do like a long format.
Breaking news.
Well, no, but I mean, it was a weird place to do like a long format article. I wish BuzzFeed actually did more stuff like that. Like it was like a real piece. But somebody in the Facebook comments on it was like, "Oh, this podcast did an episode about it." So I went and checked that out, and it was like a great hour-long thing about the whole thing and everything that had happened. And he went and interviewed like people who knew her and people in this, and you have interviews with stuff. But so I started listening to the whole show, which I don't totally recommend doing back to back because it gets really draining hearing about all these awful, horrible things. But some of them are like, okay, we're going to talk about child murderers. Like, not people who killed children, but like messed up children who like snapped and killed people. And like, they one episode that I listened to was this woman from like the early 1900s who probably has the highest body count of any murderer in U.S. history. And nobody, like, she's really not all that well known. And then you have like different interviews, like that same episode had like an interview with the truck driver, the woman who I think Charlize Theron portrayed.
Oh, Eileen Wuornos?
Yeah, I think there was like an interview with her, like in her court hearing, or one of the stuff I was listening to was like the interview with Ted Bundy before he was executed. And it's just a really interesting kind of true crime, but it doesn't ever really feel too like gratuitous. I mean, there's a little bit that he plays up, and this part, is the strangest thing that's. But for the most part, like, you have interviews and stuff with people involved or people who knew it. And like one I just listened to was this survivor of this school for boys in Florida, where like for years and years and years they were just abusing children, and it was all covered up. And there was a big conspiracy episode about this big child prostitution ring and like all this weird stuff. So it's really actually an interesting show if you're into.
What's it called again?
That kind of Sword and Scale.
Sword and Scale?
Just like a sword. And scale. So it's pretty interesting.
Cool. Sword and Scale, the podcast.
Yeah.
Available on all podcast platforms.
It's everywhere. And I think the newer episodes, they have like a Patreon too. I don't know what the perks are of it, but.
As they do.
Yeah.
Cool. That sounds really interesting. So, if you wanted to get into your darker side,
yeah, it's
Sword and Scale. That sounds cool. All right, this week I've been up to a little bit.
Okay.
One thing I want to quickly mention, I watched the first episode, I don't think I talked about this last week, I meant to, of The Get Down, the new Netflix show from Baz Luhrmann. I'm a big fan of Baz Luhrmann.
Okay.
I don't know if it got me.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna watch the second one because, as every fucking thing, it seems more and more. Everybody says, "Oh, it gets better."
Yeah.
It gets better after episode 1. Episode 3, you'll be hooked. I'm so sick of hearing that.
Yeah.
Like, can something just get us from episode 1? So tired of that. But
Stranger Things did that.
Yes, true.
Um,
By the way, Stranger Things. Did you see the ratings thing that came out today?
no.
There's that company Symphony that tracks digital these things, and I think we talked about them in the past.
Okay.
But apparently, in the first 30 days, Stranger Things was watched more per episode than like Daredevil season 2 and a bunch of other shit.
Wow.
Like massive numbers. The only thing that was behind on Netflix since they started tracking was like Fuller House and House of Cards season whatever.
Wow.
Very good.
It seems like a more accessible show than something.
And
like
it's
Daredevil.
short.
And it's short because like even my parents were like, because I told them about it, and like, will we like it? And I'm like, I think so. Like it's 80s, but it also has these weird angles to it, and they were hooked on it.
Yeah, it's good. But anyway, so the Get Down, I'm gonna watch it again. Watch episode 2, see if it does grab me. I'll report back. But the first episode, it felt overly long, kind of bloated. Didn't get its teeth in me.
I want to see it.
I hoped it would have.
I know a few people like on my Facebook who've been raving about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't particularly care for Baz Luhrmann though. I hate Romeo and Juliet. I hate Australia.
Australia's shit, but I mean Romeo and Juliet, I'm a big fan of. Moulin Rouge, I love. I liked Great Gatsby too.
I have not.
So.
I still haven't seen Moulin Rouge. Everyone that's the one that I eventually will give it a chance.
Moulin Rouge is fantastic.
What's the other one that I saw? Strictly Ballroom. And I'm kind of like, it's fine.
It's okay.
So to Get Down, I was like, I don't know, but everyone raves about it, so I'll give it a shot.
We'll see.
But,
I wish it had gotten me more, but there are 2 other things that
okay.
I need to talk about more than the Get Down. One that I really liked, and one that I really didn't like.
Oh.
What would you like to hear about first?
I want to hear what you didn't like.
Oh yeah, because you're Mr. Negative.
Yeah.
So
an empty bucket over
if you
here.
listen to, I guess as you're watching this last week's episode of the podcast, I talked about there are certain artists, filmmakers specifically, that I love and I can't wait for everything they do, but a lot of times I really don't like what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those people, it's a group of them, is the Coen Brothers.
Oh.
I love some Coen Brothers movies to absolute death.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate some of their movies as well, and this thing is just falling.
What did you do here? Here, just keep talking.
And but anyway, I finally watched Hail Caesar.
Oh.
And I hated it.
Really?
Hated it.
Really?
Couldn't stand it. It was just one of those Coen Brothers movies that I just could not watch.
So that would help. It wasn't even anything.
That's probably the problem.
Oh, sorry.
That was like a Coen Brothers moment right there. Shenanigans, hijinks.
Hey!
But I think the thing with me that I've really come to realize, Big Lebowski aside, which I enjoy. I don't love Big Lebowski like a lot of people do. I don't think that I like when they do comedy. And I really like when they're serious.
But see, that's interesting because you recommended I go watch Lady Killers.
I like Lady Killers.
But
nobody likes Lady Killers.
We've talked about Burn After Reading a number of times.
Okay, I like that too. But I don't like Intolerable Cruelty.
I think that's the one I haven't seen.
Okay, maybe that's not even it. I like most of their stuff, but sometimes I find them almost unwatchable. And that's how I felt. Like halfway through Hail Caesar, I was like, what am I even doing right now? Like, why am I still watching this?
I was super into Hail Caesar.
Didn't like it.
Did you like...
the only thing that I liked about it were the... Bless you.
Thank you.
The like, different couple of big numbers. There was, like, the cowboy action scene, the synchronized swimming, the musical scene.
Yeah.
I really liked those. I thought there was a lot of life and energy, and it was great to see. Other than that, I didn't really care for it.
Did you like A Serious Man?
No.
Oh.
That's one of the other ones.
I fucking love A Serious Man.
I do not like A Serious Man, but Inside Llewyn Davis, No Country for Old Men, and then their older stuff, can't get enough.
Except for Blood Simple, you don't like though, right?
No, I don't like Blood Simple. But
so that's interesting.
It's so random. Like, some of their stuff I just love more than almost any other movie, and just some of their stuff I can't fucking stand.
Do you like Oh Brother Where Art Thou?
It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. Yeah, but anyway.
Wow.
But I saw a movie that I loved.
Okay.
Fantastic movie. Hell or High Water.
I want to see this so bad.
It's so good.
Everybody is talking about how great this movie is.
Great movie. So this is in theaters right now. It stars Chris Pine, Ben Foster, and Jeff Bridges. Primarily, for the most part, just the three of them, and then a couple other characters.
Yeah.
It is very much a modern-day Western. I had not seen the trailer.
I still haven't.
All that I knew is that it was getting very good reviews, and it was out, and I had nothing to do on the day I saw it, and I was like, whatever, I'll go watch that movie. Great. Fantastic movie. It was the kind of movie that I think that I needed to see following the summer of movies that we had, where it was like, oh yeah, that's what else movies can do. Because I feel like I hadn't seen in the theater, and I mean, I could put in fucking Godfather whenever I wanted, you know, but like going to the movies, it was like, oh yeah, movies can still be really great and tell really great stories, but also not try, like, that movie was not made with the intention of winning Oscars. You know, like you see, sometimes those movies are good, but for the most part, you're like, you're just trying to make it. This was clearly just made to tell a story that the screenwriter who also wrote Sicario just felt like be a good yarn, and it is. It's a great movie. Cool. And the performances are great. Jeff Bridges is awesome. Ben Foster is awesome. It made me almost forget that he was in Warcraft.
I feel like Ben Foster's like one of those really underrated actors.
Oh yeah, he's great almost always, but he was dog shit terrible in Warcraft.
Well,
he's the worst part in a bad movie.
Really?
Yeah. But the thing that I really walked away from, awesome score too by Nick Cave and Warren Ellis. But the thing that I really walked away with was I did not know that Chris Pine was a good actor. I mean, I really enjoy him as Kirk.
He's very charismatic, but you don't
enjoyable as Kirk.
You don't get a lot of like.
I've never seen that movie.
I'm gonna say real acting, but like
he does something very good in those movies. Yes, but I've never walked out of a Star Trek movie and gone, I would love to see him in a bunch of other things. You just go, because every time he's been in something else, I'm like,
oh yeah, he was in that Pelham 1-2-3 remake, and he was in.
Yeah, I could care less to see that, but this made me go, wow, you can do more interesting things. You can do way more interesting things.
Cool.
Definitely see this movie.
I really want to.
It's good. So that's what I've been up to. That's what we've been up to.
Yeah.
What have you been up to? Tweet at us. Let us know. I'm Ash Stonks.
I'm at Rich Belson. You can also let us know in the comments below. Dislike this video, whatever, I don't care. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/overbeer, Instagram's over_a_beer. And of course, right here on youtube.com/overbeer. Every Friday, we also have a podcast, the Overbeer Podcast, on soundcloud.com/overbeer. And on iTunes. Go ahead and listen to that. Check it out. Leave us a review if you want. It helps us out. Let us know how we're doing. We might be aight, as Dana says.
5 stars.
5 stars. Right now, we do have all 5 stars. All one review gave us 5 stars.
Thanks.
And yeah, go ahead and leave us some more reviews. It's a lot more informal and more bullshit than this show is. But that'll wrap things up for today. So until next time, drink up.
And butter me up.